It took hours for Josephine to fully wake. We're just jumping right in. I'm not even doing any intro, no fanfare, nothing. Just starting.
The cold open.
Right? That's all what we're all about here. As soon as the meds wore off, the pain kicked in. It was like a fire burning hot. It could be doused in silence for a bit, but it never really died. At times it would erupt and burst and tear through her body, roaring into her limbs, causing her to spasm, shiver, sweat, and scream. The only alternative was to be so high on opiates that she thought she was on a date with Francis. And every time she asked for pills, her bill went up. Oh, this is just... It's really strange knowing that plot lines like this just don't read the same in countries that aren't America. It's like, we do it objectively wrong here. To the point where it's like... It's honestly flabbergasting. But the hospital was a sterile, dead place. Not bad, nor unpleasant, but not exactly comfortable. And it was never really quiet. There were always beeps from machines, people walking in the hallway, someone crying. Her bill counter added its own steady contribution by making a soft noise every time it jumped up. It was never really dark either. The lights were dimmed for the night, but never turned off. She always was either a little too cold or a little too hot. There were two kinds of sheets, those that were so plastic and smooth she thought she might slip from her bed, and those that were so rough they left marks on her skin. Spending every day just laying there left her plenty of time to think about sheets. Not that night and day really mattered all that much to someone tied to a bed and a dozen wires for every hour of the day. At least she'd been moved to a new room. It had a small window, and it was all hers. They'd cut her hair. It made sense, of course, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She no longer looked like herself. It was as if the body she woke up in wasn't her own anymore. The new heart was the worst part. It never ceased to glow. And just looking at it made her sick. Put it in the center of her chest?
Apparently.
Huh. Like someone had placed an intricate lava lamp inside her. Or a game console. Is this what her life would be like now, forever? Living only by the grace of a delicate machine? Having to come by the hospital for weekly checkups, assuming she ever got out? And what would she do? There was no way she wasn't on every big corporation's blacklist. They were all owned by the same people anyway, and without a job, her never-ending medical bills would crush her. It began to dawn on her that there was much more to living than having a heart that could beat, and she'd lost all of it. The only good thing around was Dr. Maturana. Norbert, as he liked to be called, checked on her daily and sometimes gave her medicine for free. More importantly, his arrival at 14.52 every day was the only thing she had to look forward to. Was I voicing Norbert?
Yeah.
Afternoon, Miss Lace. How are we doing today? I'd assume I'd give him a voice something like that.
Sure. I haven't moved an inch since you last saw me. How do you think I'm doing?
Well, you're talking and breathing, and frankly, that's incredible for someone in your condition. Have you tried using your legs?
They won't carry my weight.
Unsurprising. You haven't used them in months, so I'll get you access to an exercise machine. I'll have you up and walking in no time.
How much will the machine cost?
A lot less than an automatic wheelchair. And, like I said, we'll get you walking soon enough. I could book you for some light physical therapy tomorrow. Suddenly, the idea horrified Josephine. As boring as her little box was, it felt apart from the world. She didn't want to face the world.
No thanks, I think I still need bed rest.
Correct, you do. But we need to work on your muscles before they shrink out of existence. Nothing heavy, of course. But the program is quite long. We should get it started.
No rush, I've nowhere to go.
No need to despair. I'm optimistic we can release you within the year, if you begin to exercise soon. It'll be good for your heart as well. It needs to get used to stress.
Believe me when I say this heart is going to get used to stress. Within the year, huh? Wait. I slept over New Year's Eve, didn't I?
Yes. What I meant to say is in about 10 months.
I can't be here that long. I'm already more in debt than I can ever repay.
I'm sorry, but we can't let you go until your injuries have healed, and your muscle strength is back up.
Do you ever bring people news that isn't terrible?
Norbert suddenly turned very serious. Not very often. Look, I want to help you, but you have to want to be cured.
For what? Working shit jobs to pay for hospital bills until one day my heart needs to restart for an update and I die?
It's normal to feel repulsed by the new parts in you. Most patients experience some dysphoria. I know I did, for years. Josephine had noticed Norbert's cybernetic arm, of course. She'd even wondered how he lost his real one. Asking about it had always seemed too personal, though. Until now.
How did you lose your real arm, if you don't mind me asking?
Norbert frowned. I don't usually talk about it with patients, but tell you what, I'm going to tell you. When I can see you're determined to heal.
That's not much of a prize.
I realize this is cheesy, but the real prize is realizing that I never lost my real arm, and you never lost your real heart. We just needed spare parts. You're no less you because your heart can play Pac-Man.
Wait, that changes everything. My heart can play Pac-Man?
Oh yeah, I tried installing something newer, but it wouldn't work. Your heart kept crashing. Josephine smiled. It felt weird. She hadn't done it in a while. And it didn't last long.
It's not the heart. I'll get used to it eventually, maybe, but I won't have a roof over my head when I leave here. I've got nothing.
You are alive, Miss Lace. Do not underestimate that. Life is the only thing that cannot be rebuilt.
Exactly. I can never rebuild the life I had. All I have now is this lump of metal that might shut down and kill me any time.
Miss Lace, I can assure you that the implant is safe, and the risk of a malfunction is virtually non-existent. In fact, would you like me to explain its functions in more detail?
Sure, might as well.
I won't bore you with technical details. The heart is cybernetic. Eventually, it will develop a completely symbiotic relationship with your body and brain. Then it will be able to sustain itself.
Eventually?
Some things cannot be rushed. It might take more than a year before you are independent of life support. For now, the implant needs constant power.
Is that what this tube is for?
Yes, it's fastened quite securely. But just in case, don't ever try to unplug it.
Thank you for waiting a week to tell me that.
In my defense, it was the first thing I told you. Though in retrospect, you were barely conscious. My apologies.
But you said I could be out within the year. Will I have to buy one of these life support machines?
Preferably, yes, though we cannot force you. But you don't have to be tied to one of them all the time. See that glowy bit?
All of it?
The really bright spot where the tube goes. That's the power core. A battery, if you will.
It can store power? For how long?
Depends on what you're doing. If you put it to hard use, then a few hours.
Any chance you could be more specific with this ticking clock that controls my life?
I'd say 6 hours, even if you jog the entire time. If you're lying down and sleeping, easily twice that. We also offer more durable cores at
very affordable prices.
Norbert gave her a dry smile. Yes, one more thing, Miss Lace. The core is very powerful, even this temporary one. If you tamper with it, it might kill you.
It's under my skin. Tampering with it would mean that
I'm a doctor. Will you just trust me if I say that some people really are that stupid?
Don't worry, I won't do anything dumb. But I will hold you to that promise. You'll tell me about your arm when you think I'm healed.
I will, when I can see that you've made progress, and found some hope.
You know, it's not that inspiring to realize your how my hand got cut off story is the only thing I have to look forward to.
It's hardly the only thing. That's the other thing I'm here about. You're getting a roommate, Miss Lace, today.
But this room is so small. It's about to feel a lot smaller, isn't it?
Most definitely. Mr. Larson will only be here for a few months, but this is the only room with space. I think he'll get along just fine. Without saying anything more, Dr. Maturana opened the door and gestured to a nurse. I must get going once Mr. Larson's been set up in here. Remember, anytime you want that exercise, just let me know. But take all the time you need. The doors opened and 2 nurses came in with a large device that was somewhat similar to those around Josephine. They made her room seem so small. Then a huge bed was pushed in. On it lay an unconscious man. The bed was bigger than Josephine's, but much too small for its occupant. Not that he was obese, just big. The man's shoulders were broad, his arms were like tree trunks. He was 1 or 2 or 3 heads taller than Josephine. His face was wrinkled and angry. His nose had clearly been broken a number of times. Josephine was almost certain that his knuckles were bloody right now. When the bed was finally in place next to her, she saw that she was right. The man's eye was black and his mouth was visibly swollen. His other hand was bandaged.
I thought this was a women's ward.
We don't do that here. Cardiac disease is so much more common with men than women that it would be very inefficient.
Can I get transferred to the trauma ward?
Afraid not, Miss Lace, and besides, Mr. Larson just had a heart attack. I'm sure he could use some company, and so could you. Being alone is bad for you. He'll wake up later tonight. He might be cranky, though. Apparently he was in the middle of a fight when he collapsed. Suffice it to say, he did not win. With that, Matrona turned to leave. Josephine looked over at the evidently violent, huge man with heart disease. He was well within reach of her.
Actually, Doctor?
Yes? The doctor was smiling his most innocent smile. Josephine knew in that instant that he'd done this on purpose.
I've changed my mind about physical therapy. Any chance I could be there when he wakes up?
Interesting. Another set of doors opened as her bed was pushed through. She felt like the whole place was just corridors, lamps, and doors.
Corners and doors, Josephine. Doors and corners.
Isn't his name Josephus? I think it is.
I don't remember.
It's been a little while since I've read the Expanse novels, but yeah. Most were opened just by pushing. Others had electric locks that 2 nurses had to open simultaneously to get through. All the patient rooms were alike. They all had the same green and white motif with a small window on the door, and there were so many of them. There were also a surprising amount of cameras and nurses with batons and tasers. All the elevators had electric locks. Dr. Macerano was a man of his word. Just as soon as Mr. Larson had begun to show signs of waking up, she'd been whisked off to physical therapy. That felt like a while ago. The hospital was huge. Meeting people, even seeing them, was unsettling. After what had happened, she'd only seen a few nurses, the doctor and now Mr. Larson. It was strange. Her room was like a prison cell, but prison cells are safe in a way. In the room, she'd not thought about the world so much. But now she was out, and the more she saw others, the more it became apparent that the world hadn't stopped for everyone else like it had for her. Everyone else had woken up that same rainy morning, gone to work, read about a horrible attack in the news, maybe talked about it that night, and then gone to bed. The storm of violence that seemed to have ended her life had been a storm in a teacup. Even in this city, most people had no connection to it whatsoever. They looked at her face and saw a stranger in a hospital. There was no one to share the pain with her. She was already anxious when she got to the physical therapy section. There were no hallways there, just a big room full of people. There were amputees, people with spinal problems, people recovering from knee surgeries, every kind of trauma you could imagine in the same vast hall. Hundreds of patients, all exercising in different ways under the guidance of nurses. She was rolled to a large space where she didn't have to get out of bed. There were a lot of training devices. She used one with her feet and another with her arms. She pushed against the weights. She wondered if there was anyone here from her building. 72 people had been injured. For all she knew, they might be here. She saw no one. Once she thought she'd seen Mr. Kendrick, but the label on the man had been Jorgensen. She was ashamed to realize that she hadn't known the old man well enough to remember his face. It was almost time to stop when she saw them. 2 men, standing, not doing much. Their backs were turned towards her. They were wearing gray uniforms. She didn't really see more than that. She sank as deep into her bed as she could. In her mind's eye, she saw them, a wall of soldiers with guns. Suddenly, she was swimming in sweat. It was hard to breathe. She had to get out of this bed. She rolled over and onto the floor. Her vision blurred, her mouth was dry. She tried to get up but didn't have the muscles for it. She collapsed onto the floor and bumped her head.
I have to...
She threw up. Oh, we have a heart counter now up here.
Yeah?
Oh, you can pull it.
Interesting.
Oh, that's alarming.
Yeah.
That's alarming. She was still shivering and gasping for air when she was brought back to her room. It took a long time for her to calm down enough to breathe normally, even after the sedative. And when she finally could, she cried. She hadn't done that yet. She could see all of it again, the climb in the maintenance shaft, the line to get water from her place, the rain The way Ronnie looked in an apron. And the way Francis had smiled on the news. She kept asking for Dr. Maturana, but his shift had ended. She cried until her face was red, her pillow soaked, and she had a horrible headache.
Everything all right, girl?
Josephine turned her head and saw a towel. She took it, muttered something, and wiped her face clean. Behind the towel was a large head that looked like it had been carved from granite by a drunk sculptor. One eye was black and one nose was broken.
One nose? Which nose?
Wait, was that what it said? Did I... And the nose was broken. Guy! Don't judge me.
Thank you. Just something. I don't know. To me, it looks like something happened. Do you want to talk? Honestly, I'm not sure. I think I had a panic attack or something like that. Know what caused it? I saw someone, a guard, I think. He was wearing gray. And why are you so scared of gray guards? One of them hurt you? You could say that. He must have done something pretty fucking horrible to get you to jitter like that. Look, I don't know you, but I know some people that know how to break legs. You want to get back at them? An eye for an eye? Hole in the chest for a hole in the chest sounds pretty good, but I'd rather not think about it right now.
She extended her hand.
Josephine Lace. Robert Lawson. They call me Bob. Can I just say you look way too scary to be handing out towels to crying women? Good. That's what I'm aiming for. Don't tell anyone. What happened to your face? I was working. And where do you work? Fucking finance. Done a lot of things. Grew up on a farm, worked at a factory, cleaned up the like. Last night I was volunteering. Where? An illegal boxing match? Something like that. Would've won too if my ticker hadn't given up. I see, but nice to meet you, Bob. Nice to meet you too, Cyber Girl. Oh, by the way, that guy in gray clothes? He was janitor. The guards here are dressed as nurses, all wearing white.
Oh, that's
why there's nurses with batons and stun guns.
And go all ratchet on them. The next few days weren't that bad. Bob was much better company than he looked, and Maturana arranged for her exercise to take place in a private room. But she couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't safe. She was back in the world now, and the world was dangerous. Another week went by. Slowly her muscles rebuilt themselves, and eventually she could walk again, for short distances. Most of the time she lay in bed, of course. Dr. Maturana still came by every day to check on her, clearly worried by the incident. Josephine stubbornly refused therapy. It was too dangerous to talk to anyone about what had happened. As a consequence, she often woke up at night screaming. One night she was startled awake by a loud monotone sound. It started out quiet, but then got louder. It seemed to be approaching. The humming so steady and stable could only come from a machine, and it kept approaching.
What's that noise?
Bob woke up, grunting.
Noise? Oh, that noise. Sounds like a small drone to me. Probably just security patrolling the windows so no one tries to escape. They don't want you to leave without paying. Go back to sleep. It'll pass by the window, then go on.
Josephine got up with great effort, took the necessary slow steps, and peeked from the window. Then she scurried back to bed Then she scurried back to bed so fast her emaciated legs almost collapsed.
Bob, there isn't a single drone outside.
Suddenly Bob was wide awake.
They can't fly one of those things inside the fucking building. No, but someone else might. We might be in danger.
The noise was getting closer now. Bob lowered his voice.
What do you mean? What's the best way to kill someone in a place like this without getting caught? Not getting spotted by the cams. But there are cameras everywhere, so how do you avoid being spotted? You stay out and remote fly a fucking toaster instead. Look, I get it and I like you, but you're talking crazy. Nobody wants you dead.
Except...
That might not be true. To me, it sounds like you need help. It's getting closer. We have to go.
And without waiting, Josephine leapt out of her bed and fell on her face.
Fuck.
The cursing was followed by a violent burst of pain that radiated throughout her body, right down to the bones and made her ears ring. She screamed in pain, her vision blurred for a moment. The cord that was feeding her heart with power had come out. Norbert knew how to unplug it without pain. This clearly wasn't the prescribed method. She could see Bob slamming the emergency button and hear him calling for help. She was still on the ground, spasming, when Dr. Macerana rushed in. He gestured to Bob, and together they lifted Josephine back onto the bed. Bob held her in place while Macerana reattached her cord. Panting, Macerana pressed the buttons to administer a mild sedative. Miss Lace, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you breathe normally? Do you have chest pains?
Yes and yes. It's getting better, though.
Macerana was feeling her chest above the heart. Looks to be in order. What happened?
She thought some robot wanted her dead, is what? Bob, I had a bad dream, Doctor.
It looks to me like Mr. Lawson might be telling the truth here. Why do you think that?
I heard a noise. I got scared, like some machine was coming closer.
Can you still hear it? Josephine listened. The noise seemed distant again, but it was there.
Yes, I can. Can't you?
You mean the humming? Wait a second. Norbert left the room for a while. When he came back, he was holding a small black device. It was most definitely not a drone. This is what you heard. It's a self-guiding vacuum cleaner. It was cleaning the hallway. Miss Lace, why do you think someone wants you dead? All of the terrorists were killed. You're perfectly safe here.
PTSD, I guess. Now that you said it, it doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry for causing a fright.
You sure? I think she still has reason to... I mean, they kind of made her the face of it on purpose.
Yeah.
It's not an unreasonable... I can help you, but only if you tell the truth. Josephine, did something happen during the attack that I don't know? Josephine thought for a very long time. She looked at Norbert and Bob. She only met them both after getting shot. They might well be here to guard her or spy on her. Then she thought about it further. Nephthys had wanted her dead. They made that pretty clear when they blew a hole through her chest. Oh, come on, buddy. But if they wanted to finish the job after she was hospitalized, they'd had months to arrange an accident when she was in a coma. It made no sense for them to assign people to watch her if they were still after her. Josephine, did something happen that I don't know?
No, but something did that I don't. It doesn't add up. What happened on the day I was brought in?
Suddenly, it was Norbert who was looking uncomfortable. I want you to know that I only didn't tell you because I wanted to give you time to heal first.
Spit it out.
As you know, the death toll was pretty high. Ambulances weren't allowed until security was sure that all the terrorists had been killed. By then, a lot of people were beyond our help, including you.
What?
You were pronounced dead on the spot and counted among the casualties. You were only brought here because you're an organ donor.
I am? And what happened?
You were on the list of people who had promised their organs to this hospital in exchange for a discount.
Oh yeah, now I remember. I broke a leg in college and was short on cash. I had completely forgotten I signed that.
Ha ha ha! America! only our country can make organ donors sound fucked up. Like, become an organ donor if you're not. But not like this. Either way, I saw you in the emergency ward and we realized that you weren't beyond saving.
So, I was dead for a while?
Only about 5 minutes, and only in a legal sense. You were restored among the living customers the moment we started treating you.
So in the initial casualty records,
You're among the dead, not the hospitalized.
they must think I'm dead.
Who? What happened to you? She was dead to them. Francis was sleeping soundly in his huge loft, thinking she was just one problem he'd solved long ago. She was safe.
The terrorists weren't killed in the shootout. They drove away in police vehicles to collect their paychecks. Would you put on the TV? I don't want us to be overheard.
And Josephine explained what had happened, starting with Nephthys cutting the water flow. It took a while and left the two men sitting in quiet contemplation for quite some time. It felt so good to have told someone, to know that at least these two strangers knew what had happened.
That is just all kinds of messed up. I knew they did that to striking workers, but fuck.
Oh, striking workers! That makes it okay! Indeed, Josephine, you have my word that your secret stays in this room. Now, there's something I meant to give you. I'll go pick it up. And Norbert left. Josephine could see that he was about to puke.
I always knew those smug fuckers in their fancy pool party tower were rotten dicks, but that's something else. I used to be one of those smug fuckers. I'm guessing that particular career path is now closed. Most definitely. I wouldn't go back even if they made me chief executive and let me hang all the old bosses. But you'd still hang them, right? Definitely. If I ever make it out of here, I might just make it my life goal to redecorate the gardens with dead stock owners. And when I find Francis, I'll cut out his heart and take it for myself.
Whoo! Yeah, alright! That is some grade A revenge shit right there. Someone get Park Chan-wook on the line to direct this one. This is gonna be great.
They say it's good to have dreams and aspirations.
I'm gonna steal his fucking heart. They say it's good to have dreams and aspirations.
Francis seems like the king of smug fuckers, though. I'd rather have a machine heart than his.
Norbert returned. He was holding a slip of paper. I was going to give this to you, but then you had the panic attack, and I figured it was smarter to wait.
What is it?
It's the casualty count from that day. Remember, if there's the slightest chance that you think this will make you revisit memories you don't want. Josephine grabbed the paper so fast she tore it. She began reading. Anderson, Adam, 24, killed. Armstrong, Kim, 22, killed. Armstrong, Levi, 4, died in hospital. Josephine took care to read and savor every name. She owed it to them, and she was scared of what she might see. The list was as monotonous as it was horrifying. Only occasionally did the names carry with them additional information. Gonzalez Fulgencio, 42, survived. Resisted evacuation. Hospitalized. Ito Akari, 13, wounded, hospitalized. Kendrick Charles, 88, killed. Mr. Kendrick. Josephine remembered dimly that she'd seen him fall, but knowing for sure that he was gone hurt more than it should have. Almost the entire time she'd known him, he'd been the slightly racist grandpa who kept locking himself out of his apartment. But then again, she'd only really known Kendrick for a few days, and he had died trying to save her. Thatcher Gisela, 56, killed. Janice Ronnie, 28, missing. Josephine's heart skipped a beat. Missing? No other name said that. What did that mean? If she was dead, they would have found her. So she wasn't. Ronnie was alive. Josephine dropped the list and burst into tears. She felt arms around her, Dr. Macerana. His presence was comforting. Do you want to talk about it? Josephine shook her head. She wasn't crying because of those who died. She'd known they were dead and that it was her fault. All in all, she was surprised at how coolly she'd reacted. Maybe it was because she'd had time to deal with it, but it didn't matter. Ronnie was alive. Josephine was weeping with joy. Damn. It's a lot.
Yeah?
All at once. Josephine sliced her steak with gusto. Under the pale lights of the hospital, all food looked lifeless, just like the pale people eating it. The steak was alright. It tasted like preservatives, color essence, and plastic wrapping, but just having her appetite back made any food seem gourmet.
Why do you get better food than me?
You ate yourself to a heart attack.
Huh?
Oh no! Shit!
You ate yourself to a heart attack. Are you sure you want a steak? Nah, I couldn't afford it anyway. I just fucking hate this salad. I thought your insurance covered your bill. Yeah, well, my insurance is fickle. Just because they haven't let me down yet doesn't mean they won't.
Ha ha! True! Not remembering certain incidents at all. Definitely not. They were eating at the hospital restaurant with Norbert. It had been 3 weeks since Josephine had told them the truth, and the shared secret bound them together. Norbert rarely had much time, but he still came by every day, and as often as he could, he ate with Josephine. Josephine had slowly come to know the friendly doctor. Though he was a cybernetic specialist and didn't have to do other work, he did. Often long after his shift was over, Norbert lived for healing. Josephine wondered if she was his friend, healing project, or something else. You know, Bob, Josephine has a point. Quitting meat will prolong your life, help with your rheumatism, and it's good for the environment.
I don't buy it. They're just cows. If you want to make the globe colder, jail the billionaires. I'll be damned if I let some hippie tell me what to eat.
He's... yeah, it's one of those things that, like, okay, yes, it's technically true, but you're putting the onus on, like, individual people trying to get by from day to day to do all this monumental work to make the environment change, when you really could just solve the same problem by jailing 100 people and dismantling their companies. But, you know, what do I know? I'm just a wacky YouTuber. Sorry. What about your doctor, who's concerned for your health? Did you feel like we went on a tangent there for a moment?
Yeah, you want me to live longer so you can bill me more.
But if you're healthy, I can't bill you. Actually, now that I think of it, do you want to have your steak stuffed with bacon or just butter? Josephine let them argue. She'd been feeling a lot better since that night. Ronnie thought she was dead, but she knew Ronnie wasn't. Knowing that gave her the strength to work out every day. 2 days ago, she'd gotten an electric wheelchair that still required her to exercise in order to move. It was Norbert's idea. It was good for her to be able to get out of her room for places other than the nearest bathroom. Actually, just being able to go to the bathroom by herself was heavenly. She would get better, she knew it. And then she would go after Nephthys, but she wasn't in a hurry. They ate unhurriedly, then she and Bob took a small tour of the hospital in their little wheelchairs. Norbert had to go work. Every time someone stopped to ask them where they were going, they just said they'd gotten lost. They were given directions on how to get to their own ward at least 7 times. They never followed the instructions. In one very long and empty hallway, they'd even tried to have a race. Unfortunately, the wheelchairs had a fixed speed, so whoever was faster to the joystick won almost automatically. But even then, since Josephine's wheelchair had to carry the weight of her life support machine, she lost almost automatically.
I'll have to ask Norbert for a smaller life support box. I can't beat you like this. I'll weigh at least twice what you do. It should even out, but I bet you the hospital has much lighter ones. At very affordable prices, I know. I'd just like to be able to move a little more freely. They chain us to a walking speed, so we can't escape. You sure it's not just so no 2 idiot patients would try to race in a hospital hallway? No, believe me, they don't want us to get out. Not till we paid them.
Bob was by nature suspicious. He didn't trust his medication, nor any of the nurses, nor apparently even his wheelchair. But even when grumpy, he was the best company around. Well, how do they expect her to pay? She has literally no money to her name anymore, so...
I suppose we'll find out.
Yeah, I was gonna be like... Even if we assume they're trying to get money out of her, then they're just wasting their own resources on someone they know can't actually deliver money to them. Huh. They turned into a long, slightly curving hallway.
We haven't been here before. No, we haven't. Want to check it out? Sure, maybe we'll find all of Norbert's dark secrets. I don't get him. He's a stand-up guy. Why work for these corporate bloodsuckers?
Oh, hold on, I've got a response for that one. It's called... it's this really funny comic strip. You should see it. It's about this gentleman who's working in a field, and then there's another gentleman popping outside of a well, and he looks like he's got a very good point. You know what? I'll just send it to you. I'm sure you've seen it before.
Maybe they're the only ones who can pay for his research? He's supposed to be some kind of cybernetics genius. Well, he made you a shiny new ticker, didn't he? Yeah, and this one actually ticks. And glows. The bloody thing keeps me awake at night. It keeps me alive at night. But does it have to glow? Anyway, Maturana's too nice for this place. He has a heart where it should be. You can tell he hates charging people so much. Yeah, he gave me free medicine in the beginning. So why not work somewhere where you don't have to suck on people's savings like a fucking vampire?
Because clearly I cannot leave you two unsupervised. I love her! I love Josephine's like, oh shit face. The two patients slammed the buttons on their wheelchairs until they turned around to see Dr. Maturana standing behind them, arms folded.
How long have you been following us?
You see here, it says, I think we should improve society somewhat. And then the gentleman inside the well, who looks very pleased with himself, says, ah, but you participate in society.
Curious.
Oh, it gets me every time. Since the last time you didn't follow the directions to your own ward, this is a restricted area, you know.
So you do keep your dark secrets here?
Absolutely. The giant freezer where I keep all your organs is just around the corner.
Sounds like we definitely have to check it out.
Do you think seeing your own liver would help your hearing process? Seriously, though, the place where we store donated organs is down this hallway. I'm going to have to take you back now. You have a visitor.
Oh?
How? Yeah, some young woman. Josephine's eyes lit up.
We have to go.
How would this young woman know she's alive?
How would this young woman go missing in an omnipresent cybersecurity state?
Yeah, true. Josephine was severely disappointed. They'd scrambled back at full speed, meaning Norbert had pushed Josephine while he ran for the elevator. Bob had been abandoned and everyone else had been forced to make way. Norbert had spent the elevator ride catching his breath and gasping loudly.
I thought you exercised.
I do, sometimes. As soon as the elevator stopped and its door slid open, Norbert grabbed her and flew through the hallway. He didn't come in, though. I'll give you some privacy, but I'll be waiting here. Just holler if you need me. In the room, there was indeed a young woman waiting, but it definitely wasn't Ronnie.
Who the fuck is this?
I have no idea who the fuck this is. For one, she was much younger. Josephine thought she had to be under 25. She was tall and had the conventional beauty of a catalog model. Her posture was that of someone who expected to be taken seriously. Her clothes, laptop, and demeanor all screamed upper middle class. There was a sticker on her computer.
What did the sticker say?
It said, Always remember, the university. Suddenly it struck Josephine why she looked so familiar. Not that they'd ever met, but she was all those girls from student unions who had really wanted Josephine to join them when she was studying. She never had. She'd gone to college to study, not to write think pieces and cozy up with local politicians. The woman had been sitting on the only chair in the room, but now got up and offered her a hand while smiling a well-practiced smile. I'm hesitant to take on too many characters, just if I'm doing narration, but do you want me to grab this one too?
Sure.
I don't want to take on too many.
That's fair.
But, Hi, Amy Sierra, Vice Chairperson of Students United Against Oppression.
Hi. How can I help
She has
you?
a portrait. I probably shouldn't give her something that sassy if she's going to stick around for a while. Well, we're doing a piece on police brutality and how its victims are left without protection, and I would like to interview you.
How did you find me?
The young woman smiled.
Oh, it was very simple, really. I looked up recent incidents of fatal police violence and compared them to a list of people who were brought in with gunshot wounds.
Josephine frowned. This college girl had found her so easily. Nephthys could manage it in a second. They just hadn't thought to start looking yet.
Is this all public information?
Strictly speaking, no. I have connections.
You mean there's a guy in med school who has a huge crush on you and he's an intern here?
Well, he's in computer science, not med school, but yes. In any case, we would like to give a face to you and hundreds of other survivors of violent incidents.
Thank you, but I'd rather not have my face published.
Oh, come on. Oh, it's not close enough. Okay, here we go.
You don't have to worry, we can guarantee total anonymity. I won't even learn your name myself.
But you already have it.
True. Damn it. But we won't publish your name nor your face.
And where would you publish this?
In our organization's quarterly magazine. It's printed entirely on recycled paper.
Alright, what the hell? Ask me. But I might refuse to answer if I feel like it compromises my anonymity.
Thank you so much. I understand you were a bystander in a violent engagement between police and a terrorist group and became collateral damage?
You could say that. I was shot through the heart with a machine gun and spent 4 months in a coma.
Whoa. I mean...
It's okay. No one really knows how to react to that.
Amy made some hurried notes on her laptop.
I take it you've received quite extensive medical treatment then.
Yes, I've been in the very good care of Dr. Maturana and will be for some time.
You're giving them way too much information, Josephine.
No. Oh,
Josephine,
no. You should have just
you
said
should have
no.
You should have just said no.
No.
This is see, this is too much.
I met him. He seemed very competent and nice.
He is both of those things. If he hadn't happened to be around, I would have died.
Have you received any help at all from the government? Any compensation for the violence that so affected your life?
No, I haven't. They even charged me for the ambulance ride.
That's cold. Have you given any thought to how your financial situation?
There isn't really a situation to speak of. I have no money, no home, and no job. I have no idea what I'll do when I get out.
Do you have any way to pay for your hospital debts?
No, I guess my best option is to rob a store and go to prison. At least they'll have to feed me. Otherwise, I'm on the streets.
How has this experience affected your perception of the big healthcare companies?
Well, as a friend of mine put it, they're blood-sucking vampires.
Amy laughed. So did Bob, who'd suddenly entered the room with Norbert.
So, you're quoting me now? All this laying on my ass is making me famous. Amy, this is Bob. Bob, Amy is a student journalist.
Hello, Bob. I was actually hoping for some privacy.
Then it's too bad. This is my room too. Norbert there might be happy enough eavesdropping in the hallway, but I miss my bed.
Alright then, I just have one last question. What do you blame for all this? Where would you point the finger?
Josephine could sense she was about to say something stupid. Something very, very stupid. And dangerous. She had to bite her tongue not to. I blame Francis Brabeck, she wanted to say. I blame the murderers in the security industry and the gutless politicians who let this happen. And I blame everyone for not giving a shit.
I blame the people who sold away our health care. 20 or 30 years ago, I could have gone to a public hospital and been taken care of for free. Now all I can do is watch that fucking meter track my bill.
And she pointed at the screen with the number that was still going up. Amy nodded approvingly.
Thank you. Do you want to be completely anonymous or would you like to use a nickname?
Josephine thought for a moment.
Kendrick. You can call me Kendrick.
Alright, Miss Kendrick. I'll leave you now. Here's my card if you ever need anything. I'll send the script for you when it's done.
Josephine took the card and nodded.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I mean it. I can't even imagine how you must feel. If there's anything I could do, don't hesitate to ask.
I will. Thank you.
There's nothing she can do, and we both know that. She's saying that so she won't feel bad afterwards. Josephine thought that to herself.
Hey, college girl, why don't you interview me? I've had a fascinating life.
Amy gave Bob a slightly disgusted look and then walked off, smiling at Dr. Maturana as she passed.
Let me guess, that wasn't who you thought it would be. Hoped it would be. So, Who was she? She reeked of money. Some college kid. She was perfectly nice, it's just she can't help me, and I can't tell her the truth.
I could tell you almost did. What changed your mind?
I couldn't risk her safety.
Wise call. Why did you give her the interview in the first place?
It was for their quarterly student magazine that's printed entirely on recycled paper.
So?
Nobody reads those. I might as well have whispered my secrets to a mosquito.
I guess you're right. But I'm gonna give you this very hesitant look. Like, we both know this is going to bite you in the ass in, like, 4 chapters. I have to go now, but we'll speak later. I'm sorry it wasn't who you hoped it would be. And Norbert left the room, frowning.
Did I say something wrong? Could be he didn't like getting called a blood-sucking vampire.
Over the next few days, it seemed like Bob was right. Norbert still came every day, but now he was less cheerful. Josephine continued to recover and even began taking short walks around the hospital. But she was no longer able to relax. Amy had unwittingly spoiled the careless fun she'd had for a while with Norbert and Bob. Suddenly, the little room which had just begun to feel comfortable was now a suffocating cell. She lay awake at night. When she closed her eyes, she could see the names on the list scrolling like movie credits. It always stopped at Ronnie. She'd never read further than that. She began to take walks at night after Bob had fallen asleep. On the top floor, there was a small terrace. Ooh, purples now!
Oh.
Purples and blues, that's new. It was dull gray and encircled by steel netting to prevent anyone from jumping, but it was the only place with fresh air. Standing there and looking at the city was also a grim reminder that the world remained utterly indifferent to what was happening. She could have held up a sign asking for help and people would have driven right on by. Deep down, Josephine knew she herself would have done the same thing. Over a week had passed since Amy's visit. Josephine had gotten bad at counting the days. Her life was nothing but an endless routine that repeated itself constantly. That was the worst part of hospital life. The only change was in her slow but steady recovery. As on the previous night, Josephine waited until Bob began snoring, and then got up, trailing her life support behind her. The machine rattled very loudly. Fortunately, Bob was a sound sleeper. Quietly, she left the room and walked the empty hallways. She tried taking the stairs, but that proved impossible with her machine companion. In the elevator, she thought about her last elevator trip with Francis. She'd run half a mile and gotten all red and sweaty, and thought that was embarrassing. Compared to being so helpless, she couldn't take the stairs if she wanted to. That no longer seemed so bad. On the top floor, Josephine passed by a group of nurses rushing off somewhere. Norbert had told her that there was a separate terrace where the staff would go to smoke. She stopped at the fortified door to the terrace and flashed her bracelet. Fresh air wasn't free. The doors opened with an electric hiss, and she stepped onto the freezing concrete, barefoot. A shivering, numbing cold enveloped her feet. She'd stepped in a puddle of rainwater.
Fuck.
She realized instantly she wasn't alone. Dr. Maturana was there too, staring out at the city skyline.
Hey, I didn't know you came here.
I was curious as to why you do.
Are you tracking my movements?
It's an unfortunate part of my job to keep track of your purchases.
I like the fresh air.
Me too. The staff balcony is much nicer, though. No nets up there.
Employees are allowed to jump to their deaths?
Patients bring money in, employees cost money. I guess. We have a fire escape to compensate.
Oof.
That is one of the grimmest exchanges I've... He was silent for a while.
You desperately want to leave this hospital, don't you?
Josephine nodded.
Yeah, I can't sit here much longer. Not while the bastards who did this are having rooftop parties.
And Josephine pointed to the east. The gardens were there, towering above most of the buildings and clearly visible due to the brightly lit waterfalls. On the top floor, there was indeed a party going on. There were people and flashing lights.
Ever been there, to the top floor?
On my last day at work, if my company hadn't by chance picked my building, I'd be there tonight, getting drunk and having fun. while someone else would be dead or in the hospital or jail or on the streets because of me.
You feel guilt over the time you worked at Nephthys.
I do. I have a debt to pay, and it's not to this hospital. But here I am, literally behind bars.
She grabbed the steel net to make her point. Maturana was silent for a long time.
Did you mean what you said to that college reporter?
About you being a bloodsucker? I didn't mean you, but look at this place. I'm sure you can see it. I had to pay money just to be on this balcony, for fuck's sake.
But if you weren't here, you'd be dead, and we'd have to fund this somehow. Building a new heart costs money.
If I'm to spend the rest of my life in crushing debt, fighting just to be able to eat, it honestly would have been easier to die. There's more to life than a beating heart. I know you believe in helping as many people as you can. I've seen it.
And I couldn't help anyone if we didn't have resources.
I know. It's how you get them that's the problem.
I get what you're saying, but I can't change the system. Who would I be helping if I quit my job?
How many of those you've helped are still struggling to make ends meet because someone decided sick people are no one's problem?
How many of them live only because of that help?
And how many turned down that help because they didn't want to leave debt to their families or use their children's college funds?
I just want to heal people. What's so bad about that?
Nothing. It's why I like you. But are you sure you're really healing people here? Or are you just resuscitating them so someone in billing can squeeze them for money?
I never hurt anyone. I live for curing people. I don't even watch violent movies. I threw up when I heard your story. You can't blame me for...
Look, I know how it feels. I worked at fucking Nephthys. But I quit when I saw what they were. Good night, Doctor.
What if I showed you the comic again? with the daft man in the well and... Well...
And with that, Josephine left the balcony. Norbert stayed. He gazed at the skyline and looked at the gardens. They were shooting off fireworks now. If he really tried, he could hear the music carried by the wind. The next day, Josephine woke up, still angry at Norbert. She thought about going to the gym, but changed her mind at the last second. She just wanted to lie down. Bob was gone. That was strange. Bob barely went to the gym at all. He only ever left the room for a meal or with Josephine. As she was eating breakfast alone, Josephine thought that she had been too harsh with Norbert. He was hands down the best doctor she'd ever met, and one of the best people. Suddenly, Bob burst in, red in the face and cursing.
Fucking fuck.
Before Josephine could even respond, the older man grabbed his debt calculator, ripped it out of the plug, and threw it against the wall. The device shattered with a mighty crack, sending sparks flying all around the room. Josephine ducked under her blanket.
Jesus, Bob, what's wrong? My insurance company turned me down. I told you they would. Now I can't fucking afford a pack of cigarettes ever again. I should never have trusted those slimy bloodsuckers. Full coverage my ass.
Bob punched the wall so hard, Josephine's calculator nearly fell from the desk it sat on.
Bastards. What are you going to do? Please don't punch anything else. Nah, I'll find someone to punch and I'll break their fucking spine.
Another wall punch caused the lights in the room to flicker. That wasn't a recording problem. That was Bob punching the wall so hard the lights flickered. It bothers me that we have a meter for this. It's like, 'cause I do know that there are branching paths in this game. I wonder if it's going to have something to do with how much heart juice we have.
I bet. Good, I'll help you.
Bob turned to her.
You will? Absolutely, and then you'll help me with redecorating the gardens like we talked about. Deal? I don't have time for fantasies anymore. I have to get out of here and go underground before they realize I won't be able to pay them. Let's go together. I can walk pretty well now.
Norbert came rushing in.
What's going on in here? Josephine, are you alright? Do I have to call security?
Bob stared at Norbert in the eyes with a glare that would have stopped a charging rhino in its tracks. When he spoke, his voice was calm and monotone in a way that carried 1,000 death threats.
Everything is fine, Doc. I just slipped, and the calculator fell off. I think it's broken, though.
Norbert looked at Josephine.
And you're all right too?
Josephine smiled her friendliest smile.
Everything's just fine, Dr. Maturana. The tea is a bit lukewarm, otherwise I couldn't be happier.
All right, then. I received a message from the lobby. Amy Sierra is here to see you again.
Could you please let her know that right now is not a very good time?
When is it ever? You're really busy these days giving interviews and all, Miss Kendrick.
Ronnie stood in the doorway, grinning as always. Everyone froze. Norbert began searching for his communicator, clearly intending to call security.
Excuse me, but who are you and who gave you access to this ward?
Ronnie smiled like a doll and extended her hand. She blinked her eyes and suddenly she sounded like a 15-year-old summer worker at a makeup store.
Sorry, Doctor, I didn't see you there. Amy Sierra, Vice Chairperson of Students United Against Depression. I'm here to follow up on my interview with one of your patients. Look, I don't know who you are, but if you don't leave right now, I'll have no choice but to.
Amy, so good to see you again. Come inside.
And she gave Norbert a look that said, no, do not screw this up, all the while smiling her broadest smile. Norbert nodded very slowly. He looked at Josephine, at Ronnie, and finally at Bob.
Bob, would you like it if I put on the TV?
I'd like it if someone told me what the fuck's going on. Bob, you remember Miss Sierra? She interviewed me a while ago. Yeah, and that ain't...
Norbert put on the TV and turned the volume way up. Josephine walked over to Bob, showed him the casualty list, and pointed at Ronnie's name. Finally, Bob understood.
Miss Sierra, been a long time. Good to see you.
I'm not going to give her that.
Yeah.
Good to see you too, Mr.
Larson. Robert Larson. It's okay if you don't remember. We didn't really speak last time.
All right, I'll leave you to it, but I'll be just outside to give you privacy. Sorry about the misunderstanding, Miss Sierra.
As soon as Norbert had left and locked the door behind them, Josephine jumped from the bed and rushed to squeeze Ronnie as hard as she could. They embraced and didn't speak for a very long time. When Josephine finally let go and wiped the tears off her face, she could see that Ronnie was crying too.
I thought you were dead, Joe.
So does Nephthys. How did you find me?
I read an article about the fascinating incident of one Miss Kendrick. Can you believe it? The police accidentally shot someone, and she didn't get any financial aid whatsoever.
How did you find it? It was just some dumb student paper.
Get this. I was underground with a fake name, but I had to get some job, so I became a security guard at a university parking lot. Never been so bored in my life, so I began reading whatever I could get my hands on.
Even Amy's activist magazine.
What are the odds, huh? The girl's a decent writer, too. Did you ever read the article?
Not even this place is that boring.
Ronnie laughed. Her voice was warm and sweet as always, but there was a dark hint to it now, like she was no longer used to laughing.
Anyway, she's one of those modern kids who all have their name, lives, and faces on the internet for anyone to see. It wasn't hard to fake an ID with my picture instead of hers.
And how'd you make it through the slaughter?
Ronnie's smile died instantly.
Crammed myself into a sewer. Had to stay there so long I almost drowned. Come night, I snuck out and crashed at an old army friend's place. That's where I had heard that they shot you.
They damn near did. Maturana essentially brought me back to life here.
Wait, why is your chest glowing? Is that...
Yep, that's my new heart.
Whoa, how are you recovering?
I can walk, but I get weak pretty quickly. If I unplug this cord, I have roughly 6 hours to live before it crashes.
Oh my god, it's just like in that movie, Crank.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh my god, do you like Jason Statham movies?
I love classic film.
Me too. I feel like as a legendary, an older actor, like his movies are kind of one note, but I always really appreciate them. So we're not going to hit the bars and celebrate that we made it?
No, but only because my meds don't mix with drink. But we need to leave this place. We have unfinished business with Nephthys.
You think we should go after them? Don't get me wrong, I want to, but we're kind of outnumbered.
And outgunned. There's also the fact that I have to use a charger to survive, but we'll think about that later. Maybe our best chance is to run.
Nephthys must think that you're dead.
And as soon as I bust out of here, it'll be reported to the police, and Nephthys will find out I'm alive.
And you're dead set on escaping? Not just recovering and then checking out like a normal person?
See that screen? It tracks my hospital bill.
Holy crap, cybernetics are expensive.
They'll never let me leave with that much debt without putting a tracker on me.
I see. Well, it looks like we're staging a breakout then. When?
I can't ask you to help me. It's a risk. They could be hunting you already. I'm doing it alone.
Then it's too bad you're obviously not in any shape to do this alone. And that I don't abandon old comrades.
Well, thanks. I was hoping to hear that. We're going to have to go soon. On the weekend, maybe, when it's quiet?
I think we should go tomorrow. Checking in with a false name might not have been enough for me to go undetected.
Fine. Do we have a plan?
It's just a hospital. Getting out should be easy. I'll wait outside with an escape vehicle.
What about after that?
Huh?
Where are we gonna go?
We?
I ain't staying here. These fuckers are gonna bleed me dry. I'm coming with you. Bob's alright. He knows. I trust him. And we could use some muscle.
Well, if you trust him.
I do. But do we have a place to go to? Where do you live now, Ronnie?
At the barracks of the security company I work for. Not the best hiding place.
And you, Bob? That's why I asked. I live downtown. The police and the security raid those apartments all the time, looking for drugs or guns or whatnot. Not an option now. This is crazy, but should we call the real Amy Sierra?
What?
She promised to help if I ever needed anything, and she has to live uptown. We can scare her into compliance, just for one night.
It's risky.
I don't trust her either. Well, unless Norbert wants to invite us over, we don't have much of a choice. I don't have any relatives in the city. I have family, we could ask them. That would put them in danger.
But you would be okay with risking some college girl's life?
No, you're right. Amy is out of the question.
Fuck it, we'll get in the sewers if we have to. Now we just have to get out. I vote for a kitchen or service exit.
Couldn't we just hijack an ambulance?
There was a sudden knock on the door.
Yes?
Norbert came back and shut the door in a hurry. We have a problem. I think your friend needs to go. Ronnie folded her arms. And why is that? Amy Sierra just decided to check in. She's being interrogated right now. Josephine's new heart skipped a beat.
How long have we got?
I'd say you have 5 minutes before they figure out which Amy is real.
No time to sit around then. Let's go.
Go where? We're leaving, Doc. Don't try to stop us. This is insane.
Ronnie pretending to be Amy will be reported to the police. If the police know Nephthys might find out, our lives are in danger.
You're safe here. I can protect you while you're within these walls. Out there, you're on your own.
At least they'll have to find me. Here I'm bound to a bed.
For a reason. You can't run around without that device.
In that case, you'll have to tell me where I can get a lighter one. And it has to be cheaper than affordable.
While they argued, Ronnie slipped behind Norbert.
She grabbed him by the neck so suddenly he almost fell to his knees. I found this syringe laying around earlier. I wonder what's in it. She pressed the needle against Norbert's back. The doctor gasped, all color draining from his face. What does the label say? Nothing, but the liquid glows. I don't think your body would like this much of it. There's no need for this. I'll escort you to the elevator and open the electric lock. Willingly. I know you will, Doc. Shall we go?
You can put the syringe down. Norbert's a good man. I like him.
I'm just being cautious. Come on. Oh, our heart just beat. Okay. Norbert unplugged Josephine's cord from life support device, but left it in her heart. Trust me, you don't want that to come off. They left the room as a tight-knit pack, with Josephine holding Norbert by the arm and Ronnie keeping the syringe at his back. Bob followed behind, towering above all three. Slowly, they made their way to the elevator, as close to each other as penguins in midwinter. Josephine was exhilarated. Hospital life was boring. This was almost fun. Of course, every passing second meant that her sudden death became more likely. But right now, she felt more alive than she had in months. If all went well, they'd be out of trouble by tomorrow. Trouble found them before they found the elevator. It was Amy. She was panting. She'd clearly been running since the lobby as she caught them in the hallway. Miss Kendrick, there you are. Can you believe it? There's apparently another Amy Sierra visiting right now. They made a huge fuss in the lobby.
Do you have a car, Amy?
A car? Yeah, I drove here. Why?
Take us there now.
Wait. What's happening? No time to explain. Come on. Okay, she is going to be a thing. Could you take Amy then?
Okay.
Since I'm going to do narration. If I'm going to do narration and Norbert and Ronnie.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to be doing 3/5 of the core the core cast here and the narration.
Amy, we need your help. Can you help us? Well, I mean... What's going on here? We'll tell you on the way, I promise, but you said you would help me if I ever needed anything. I guess I did. What do you need? I need to get out of here as fast as I can. My life is in danger.
This is highly unethical, Miss Lace. You're placing this young woman at risk.
Wait, what? Look, Amy, the doctor is right. This might get you in trouble, but if you don't help, it might kill me. If it comes to it, I promise we'll say we forced you to do this. But we need you to drive us out of here, and we need to stay at your place, just for tonight.
And since we're kind of in a hurry, if you don't cooperate, I'll knock you unconscious and we'll just steal your car.
Ronnie, not helpful. Fine, I made a promise. Last time I'll make that mistake.
Great, let's go!
Ronnie pushed Amy forward, Josephine following close behind, and they picked up their speed again. They could hear voices in the hallway. Security was closing in. They reached the elevator safely. Norbert fumbled until his key opened the lock and a light turned green. They waited. For a while, Josephine's new heart was racing faster than ever before. It actually hurt a little.
Oh.
Oof.
Norbert, was it 6 hours if I jogged the whole time?
Something like that, yes.
What if I run like hell and my heart is beating so hard it feels like it's jumping out of my chest?
3, maybe?
Let's make the most of it then.
Ding!
The elevator came. They rushed inside. Josephine slammed the bottom floor button very hard. Amy turned to Josephine.
So, why is the security guard looking for you?
Actually, they're looking for me. And when they find me, others will be able to find Jo and they will kill her. And me.
What? But why? We'll tell you later, I promise. Why are you here? I did some research on police violence and evictions, and I found a pattern that I thought you might be interested in. That's it? That's the reason you rushed in and blew off plans?
Hey, go easy on her. It's not her fault I decided to impersonate her. And we didn't have a plan yet. This'll do just fine.
You impersonated me?
Yeah, might be. Yeah, had some fun too. Gave your number to a cute nurse.
You what?
The elevator ground to a sudden halt. They were between floors.
What happened?
I stopped it. Now, why would you do that? Are you curious as to whether I'm holding a powerful sedative or a powerful laxative? We have to think about this. You cannot just walk out.
And why not? He's stalling us. Give him the shard.
Wait, hear me out. Bob, Josephine, you both need medical attention. It's against my ethics to help you leave your only place of treatment. For your sake, I really hope this is a vaccine. But I cannot stop you from leaving. You might as well actually get out and not get beaten up.
What are you getting at?
As I said, I will not help you. But right now it would be very easy for you to steal my personnel badge and use it to get to the staff balcony on the top floor.
And why would we want to go there?
The ground floor below will be full of guards. The top floor fire escape will not be. The fire escape will lead you to the roof of the garage where Miss Sierra presumably has parked her car. There are also ambulances there. Each ambulance carries a red box with a handle and a picture of a lightning bolt. Those are used to charge malfunctioning cybernetic devices. Take one. As soon as you get to a safe place, plug Josephine into the box, and the box to a wall. And how do we know you're telling the truth? We might just get cornered on a fucking balcony.
He's not lying. There is a fire escape. He told me earlier. What will you do, Norbert?
Norbert pushed another button. The elevator took off slowly, still descending. 2 clearly unstable patients are trying to escape. It's my duty to report it to security, but since someone stole my communicator, I have to go there in person. Norbert handed Josephine his small white communicator as well as a badge. Now there are 2 cameras in this elevator, so I'm going to need fake Amy to punch me in the face to make it look like you forced me. My pleasure.
Thank you, Norbert. Will I see you again?
Of course, I'm your doctor. Throw the communicator away as soon as you get out. It can be tracked. Are you just saying all this because I have a syringe against your back? You've already broken my skin with it, but no. Let's just say I'm beginning to question whether working here counts as more as helping or hurting. Ding! I'm getting off here. You guys go up. Norbert stepped out of the elevator. He turned around and smiled. And Ronnie punched him in the face so hard he toppled like a felled tree.
Norbert, wait.
The doors closed.
You pack a hell of a punch, fake Amy.
Yeah, I do. Thanks. Don't ever call me that again.
Crap, I wanted to thank him again. Norbert's too good for this place.
Well, if he gets caught, he'll have to find another job soon.
I also don't think you absolutely needed to threaten him with a sedative, or was it a vaccine?
A sewing needle.
Oh, he'll be happy to hear that one day.
Ooh. Think we'll see him again?
Hopefully soon.
I mean, he did get a portrait and everything.
He hasn't told me the story yet, and conservation of detail requires that that's going to happen sometime before the end of the game.
The top floor was completely empty. All the staff were on alert somewhere.
Whatever you guys are doing seems to be going well. I'm sorry we dragged you into this, Amy. We have to leave the city soon. Nephthys Incorporated wants us dead. The water company? Why? What did you do? I'll explain later. There's the staff balcony.
They ran to the closed electric door. There was no one there. Except a guard in a white uniform.
Halt! Hospital is on lockdown. No one can enter the balcony.
Had they really been in such a hurry that none of them noticed a guard? Apparently, yes.
Fuck.
Well, what's going on? What ward are you from? Which one of you is the doctor?
Amy stepped forward.
I am Dr. Sierra, psychiatrist. Miss Kendrick here is my patient.
So you're from the weirdo ward?
Excuse me? What did you just call my patient? She's right there, and she needs fresh air. She's having a panic attack.
She does look confused, but I can't let anyone in right now.
Josephine grabbed her heart cord and twisted. Oh, it'll do that whenever it... Her scream echoed throughout the empty hallway as she collapsed to the floor, writhing and struggling for breath.
Whoa!
Oh, that took a hit!
Yeah?
Her chest was on fire like she'd been shot again. Knowing what to expect didn't make it any less painful. Ronnie was down on her knees in seconds, a look of abject horror on her face.
She's having an attack. Go get help. We need Dr. Norbert Maturana and a spinal sedative.
But
See that huge man? He'll watch the door. Now run. This patient could die.
the guard scrambled to the elevators. Ronnie noticed the cord and tried to put it back in its place. First, she had to tear away Josephine's fingers. Having someone play with the cord only made Josephine scream louder. Her pupils were wide, dark plates. Fuck, I can't fix it, I'm taking it off. With sweaty fingers, Ronnie struggled to get a grip on Josephine while she spasmed so she could unlock the safety mechanism on the cord. Larson, was it? Help me hold her down. The cord made a nasty popping sound as it came off. Josephine stopped twisting almost immediately and began to breathe again. First, urgently, like someone who had almost choked, but soon she closed her eyes and calmed down.
Did the diversion work?
Ronnie laughed.
It did, Amy. You're amazing. Is spinal sedation a thing?
Hopefully not. Then he'll search longer. Guys, Maturana's badge won't open the door. It must be the lockdown.
Fuck! The door looks pretty plastic, though. You might be able to break it.
Bob? On it.
Bob punched the point where the twin doors met. The blow shook the door to its hinges and caused the plastic to crack. He punched again. This time the force of his fists pulled the doors apart a little. He put his hands to the crack he'd made. The doors screeched as he pulled them apart with a grunt, and fresh air rushed in. Although she was still in immense pain, Josephine smiled.
Let's hurry. I've been in this sterile cube quite long enough.
Hell yeah! This game is getting super interesting.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely loving it. Our patrons picked a good one this month.
Sure did.
Yeah. Join us next time when we'll go on to chapter 4. And we'll see what happens now that we're out.
Yeah.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.